And good evening to everyone. Welcome to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the hosts. To my right is a man who thought he purchased the Pittsburgh Penguins, but it just turns out he was getting a case of Bud Ice. Dustin Henry. Dustin, how we doing this evening?
Yeah, the reason I got confused is because I thought, I said the Penguins can't be this cheap, but what it is, at least I got Bud Ice Penguin themed cans. That was where the confusion lied. I'm sorry. And so honestly, I decided that Bud Ice, I dumped the Bud Ice. I'm keeping the cans.
Dooby like the little commercials. Well, but otherwise, I can see the confusion.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to a lot. We tonight we're gonna talk about Week 15 in the NFL. We delayed it a day because my brother's birthday was yesterday, so I was out celebrating with him. So happy birthday to my big brother, Jim, who is celebrating. I won't say how old he is because I don't want to.
You don't want to put him on blast.
I want to put him on blast, but we enjoy each other's company out with his wife and his kids, my sister, and my nephew's girlfriend. So we decided to move it to tonight. So
Yeah.
and plus Dustin had a show yesterday with Seahawks Sessions. It was going to be two shows if he didn't if we did this show and then he would have been on right after on Seahawks Sessions. So you know what? Executive decision. We're going to record tonight. I don't care if the material's stale.
We'll still make it good, everybody.
That's right. All we got to do is put some bread in the same package and the cookies will be fresh again.
That's right. And also, let me just quickly say, because I didn't say it to him, happy birthday to the original owner of Marathon Man. That's right. I remember.
And it's funny. When I sent the tweet this afternoon, I didn't realize that today was the 122nd anniversary of the first flight by the Wright brothers in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina.
Oh man,
we visited that memorial 2 years last time we were in North Carolina. So
yeah, that was really cool. That was honestly a highlight of the trip. I enjoyed that a lot. It was one of the ones that snuck up on you. You didn't know what to expect going in there, but then you're like, oh man, this is kind of awesome.
It was a hot day though.
It was pretty hot.
That's okay. We made it through. But we're going to get to everything in just a moment. We're talking about Week 15 in the NFL, what stood out to us, what was our biggest upset, the biggest disappointments, peak performers, the best game of the week, all that stuff in just a moment. But first, we just want to remind you to please follow us. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for No Credentials Required. You can also check out our other podcasts and written content at bellyupsports.com. On the podcast side, you can subscribe to the podcast and listen wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, and our host, which is Podbean.
Freshly Brewed Podcast.
All right, one of us is going to do it. And hit that on Twitter, on YouTube, so you know when the shows go live, so you know when there are show announcements and when show clips go up. Sorry, one of us should have shoot each other to do the Freshly Brewed Podcast. So sorry, Podbean.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I usually wait for you because that's become one of your things on the show. But you got a lot going on, so I was happy to step in there, delayed though it was.
Yeah, and thank you for that. I appreciate that. Rate, review, comment on the podcast side. 5-star rating. Leave a review on podcast platforms such as Apple Podcasts, our host Podbean, Good Pods, Podchaser. If you're listening on Spotify, leave a comment. This will be up on the Belly Up YouTube page tomorrow and our page in collaborations. So if you want to watch this replay tomorrow, it'll be on the Belly Up YouTube page. It'll also be on our collaborations page on our YouTube page. So leave a comment down there. What was your biggest surprise in Week 15? Who was your peak performer? What was your biggest upset? Your biggest disappointment? We want to hear them in the comments, or if you just have a random beer recommendation like Bud Ice. I never had it. I never had it when I turned 21. So
I didn't have Bud Ice, but I had Molson Ice, and that'll sneak up on you. Do you remember Molson Triple X, Ryan? That was the high alcohol content version of Molson.
I do.
That'll get after you.
Get after you. Well, there's one other one I can't remember what it is, but it's like those they sell them in the 20-ounce cans, the tall boys in the stores. They come in a purple. It's like a purple and white pack. I can't remember what it's called. Thing, not Iron City. That's a regional beer in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh. But anywho, we are a live show Tuesdays 6:30 p.m. Eastern, Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern. And we're waiting for some people to show up in the chat, interact with us. But we're an interactive show. We're an interactive show live on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and the occasional, if we do a happy hour here and there.
Yeah,
we want to hear from you. We want to hear from you in the comments. And it's been a weird week again this week with recording schedules, Dustin. But this is always a good time to hear this sound.
Yeah, I don't have a catchy rhyme. All I'm here to tell you is it's chime time.
It certainly is. And we're going to get things started in week 15 with our games of the year of the week. For week 15, I have my esteemed co-host lead off with his game of the year of the week. What was the game that stood out to you that was the most entertaining to you, Dustin?
Well, for me, Ryan, I mean, the early window this week was full of some real stinkers. The late window actually was the better window this week. It's rare that we can say that, but there was one game that stood out among the dreck of the early windows. And I'm going to say this is a classic example of the newly minted by me JR effect, because business picked up in this game. And I am going to make the JR effect a thing,
By God!
Yeah. But here we go. So this was shaping up to be a blowout as well. I'm talking about Bills versus Patriots.
Yep.
This game in the first half, the Patriots, everything was right for the Patriots. They scored on their opening drive, and it summed up the first half of the game perfectly, because they had no problem driving down the field and scoring against the Bills. They were running plays. They ran a flea flicker. That worked. Everything worked. Drake May rushed for 2 touchdowns. He was evading pressure. He looked great. All his throws were working out. Everything was going well for the Patriots. Travion Henderson went off this game. He went absolutely off. He had not one, but 2 long rushing touchdowns. The first one in the first half was 52 yards. He scampered into the end zone on that one. And the Patriots jumped out to a 21-0 lead. And their performance was so dominant that one owner of Barstool Sports, he made a video. I saw it. He made a video, and he claimed that the division was the Patriots. He said the real dynasty's back. He was saying all this stuff. How many times can we say it? People, don't make these early videos. Don't make the early tweet. It's never worth it. It's never worth it, because I'm going to tell you what happened. JR made his presence felt at the end of the first half. It was silent, but it was just a reminder by the Bills that, hey, we're still here. They were able to score a touchdown before the end of the half. It was a touchdown to I got to go back to my notes to see who it was to. I believe it was James Cook. James Cook, because what have we talked about? What have we talked about with the Buffalo Bills? They don't have a number 1 receiver, but they have James Cook, Josh Allen, and they get the tight ends involved. And that has proven they win a lot of games that way. So they went back to their bread and butter. James Cook was able to score before the end of the half. And then the Patriots were able, to their credit, they drove down with less than 2 minutes left, and they responded with a field goal. So you're thinking, all right, the Bills are trying to get something going, but Patriots are still keeping it going. But the second half, this game was all Bills. This game was a classic version of a momentum shift. The Bills defense shored up a little bit. Things that were working for the Patriots in the first half started not to work in the second half. Drake May went and threw a bomb on a 3rd and 25. He got picked off. It gave the ball back to the Bills. The Bills came out, opened the half with a great return by Ray Davis. They were set up with great field position, and they scored a TD immediately. It went to one of the tight ends, Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox had a huge game in this one. So the Bills just kept going to their blueprint. And, I sometimes, if we have a show later in the week and I take notes, but they're feverish notes. Sometimes I go back and watch a little recap to refresh my memory. And I did that for this game because I want to make sure I got everybody right. I wanted to remember who had the pick. I knew there was a pick, but I wanted to go back and get his name. Tre'Davious White, everybody. Amazing pick. So go back and watch that. But in the YouTube comments, somebody wrote, snow is like the bat signal for Josh Allen. And it does seem like he elevates his play in the snow. When it starts snowing, he gets it going. He had 35 yards passing in the first half. He was 6 for 8 with a touchdown, 35 yards.
We need to make that into a meme. Josh Allen, the snow gets go when it starts snowing, he gets go.
Oh yeah, no, that's a good one. We'll put that on a shirt.
In the background, come on.
Yeah. But it's exactly what happened in this game. The Bills, credit to them, they responded. They didn't let themselves get rattled by the Patriots and jumping out to that huge lead. They kept with what works for them, and eventually it started working. We've said about the Bills, if they have James Cook and Josh Allen, they have a chance to win the game, and that's what would happen. Now, credit to the Patriots. You could feel the momentum shifting, and they did respond with a touchdown. Travion Henderson, there's that man again. He had another beautiful long touchdown run. But the best thing about this touchdown run is Drake May ran all the way down the field ahead of Travion to try to throw a block. And you know what it reminded me of, Ryan? If you will go back and watch video of the Beastquake run, Matt Hasselbeck is as far down the field as anybody trying to block someone. And that Drake May play, love the effort on that play, but ultimately they left too much time for the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills were able to complete the comeback with a touchdown run by James Cook. They go to their bread and butter, and until you can stop it, they got a chance to win. What a game. What a comeback. Don't make those early videos. Don't count the Bills out just yet.
Nope. It's one of those videos that you want to point to either cold takes exposed or things that preceded unfortunate events. Because I saw that video. It's like, yeah, we run the AFC East again. We're back, baby. And all of a sudden, it's 21-0 at that point.
Yes.
And then, yeah, if you're a Patriots fan, you're feeling like this after this week. Disappointed. Because look, I had a feeling. I'm not saying this because I'm a hater or anything like that. You call me a hater, I don't care. But you knew eventually this Patriots team was going to get exposed.
Yeah, I mean they've had a soft schedule. There's no way around it. They've had a soft schedule.
Yep, and this time it came to bite them. They still have a kind of a soft schedule the rest of the way. They had the Jets and the Dolphins to close out the year, so they can still win the AFC East. But Buffalo's ratting their tail, and I have more to say about the Buffalo Bills coming up in just a few moments. But we'll get to my game of the year of the week in week 15. And there's a couple late games that I said to myself, you know what? I think I have a feeling Dustin's going to pick Bills Patriots, so I'm going to take a late game. And I had a choice between the Packers Broncos, which is a pretty pretty solid game.
Yeah. I was going to pick that if you picked Bills Patriots.
No. I was going to pick them. Unfortunately, for the Packers, Micah Parsons done for the season with he tore ACL. So we'll see how that affects their outlook. And it looked like they were going to lose Christian Watson for a while, but apparently he's playing this week on Monday night. So wow. Apparently I thought it was a shoulder injury, but it turned out to be something else. So I thought it broke his collarbone. To be honest with you, when I saw that play and the way he landed on his shoulder, I'm going, oh, no. And it was down for a long time too. So I'm going, that might be a broken collarbone. But turns out he might be playing on Monday night after all, from what I saw in a report. But my game of the year of the week, Rams, Lions. There were some awful games in week 15, and there were a handful of awfully good games. Rams, Lions was one of them, because this was a back and forth affair throughout, especially in the first half. Rams and Lions getting into a shootout. Rams go up by, the Lions go up by as many as 10, because Amon-Ra St. Brown had a game and had a first half too, an incredible first half. I'm watching that game, and Kevin Burkhardt's getting all excited. Tom Brady's getting all excited. He's got that juice from Tony Romo. That Tony Romo's juice seemed to disappear. He took that man's milkshake, and he took that man's milkshake and that energy too. Tony Romo's got to get that spice.
Yeah.
But look, about the Lions. Unfortunately for them, they kind of blew it. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown looked unstoppable the first half. Jameson Williams also coming into his own. Dustin, you mentioned him a couple weeks ago. I think it was on the Thursday night game when they played the Cowboys.
Yeah,
and he was doing such a great job for the Lions. But the Rams, they were the better team, especially in the second half, because their defense, after getting absolutely torched by Jared Goff, by Amon-Ra St. Brown, by Jameson Williams in the first half, they forced 3 consecutive 3-and-outs to start the second half. And that was the biggest difference in the game, because after those possessions, the Rams scored. Rams scored a field goal. Then they scored a touchdown. Then they scored, I believe if I remember correctly, I believe it was another touchdown. I think it was another field goal, or it was another touchdown, excuse me. And they took control of the game. Now, this is where things got hinky. The touchdown that Matthew Stafford threw to Colby Parkinson to take the lead.
Yeah.
It looked like Parkinson's knee was down before he crossed the plane. Or he got touched while his knee was down and he was crossing the plane. It turns out, I don't remember the exact call, but it looked like it turned out that Parkinson, his momentum was carrying him into the end zone, so they gave him the touchdown. I have to look at the highlights again. I can't remember the exact call, but New York said, nope, he balled across the plane. That's a touchdown. And that turned the whole game around for both teams, because the Rams would score another touchdown. Then they would score one more touchdown to go up as many as 14, because all the Lions could do was manage a field goal early in the fourth quarter. Excuse me. They finally got off the schneid. Rams got a touchdown. Lions got a touchdown to keep it close, but the Lions, excuse me. The Lions just ran out of time. And I have to ask the question. This begs the question, Dustin, and I'll bring it up to you, bring it up to our audience. Will they meet again in the playoffs?
This is the thing that I'm struggling with, because right now the Lions, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're on the outside looking in now, because the Packers and Bears are both ahead of them in their division. Packers would fall into the wild card, and the Bears right now have number 1.
No, they have number 2.
Oh, number 2.
The Bears are first place in the NFC North.
Yeah.
And they're a game behind the Rams for that playoff.
For that number 1 seed.
One seed.
Yeah, oh man, Julian, I'm sorry. Whether you end up joining us live or you watch this on the replay, I know I'm going to hear about it in the Discord tomorrow. As it stands, I don't know that the Lions can make it this year. I don't know. There's times where they look great and I'm like, they're back. But then you go back to the propensity to struggle against teams like the Giants this year. Although Giants had Jameis at quarterback, we know Jameis is going to make it entertaining every time, but still, there's a couple games this year where you're like, the Lions, I don't know. So Ryan, these two teams have played each other well multiple times, even going back to the regular season in week 2 of last year. The Lions-Rams game was very, very good when everybody thought the Rams were going to be awful. and they gave the Lions everything they could handle. But I don't know if a rematch happens this year.
I would have to hope. I would hope that they would. I mean, the Lions have to win out. I think they still have to play the Bears twice. I'm trying to remember their schedule off the top of my head.
Okay, I'll do.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up. Yeah, they gotta play. No, I'm sorry. They gotta still play. They gotta play the Steelers at home, then they're at the Vikings and at the Bears.
Okay, all right. I mean, that Vikings game should be a winnable game. The Steelers game, I don't know. I don't know what to make of the Steelers at all. I really don't. Man, it's going to be a tall order for them to win out, though. You got to, especially against that Bears team. I don't know. That should be a good one.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one at the end. Which brings us to our biggest upset of Week 15, and I had my eye on this game on when I talked about this. We talked about our feature games to look out for in Week 15 on Saturday. I had my eye on Saints and Panthers because the Panthers, again, they were in position to take first place with 2 games remaining against the Buccaneers, and they pooped the bed, unfortunately, against the Saints again. And Carolina had this game. I wouldn't say they had it lock, stock, and barrel, but they scored a touchdown in the third quarter that put them up 10. It was a beautiful pass. If you watch that pass on Red Zone, Dustin, from Bryce Young to Jalen Coker, what absolute drop! It was a teardrop pass. It was beautiful. It was a thing of beauty. It's a thing of beauty. Saints get back with a field goal, with a long scoring drive. Tyler Shook leading the way for the Saints. Sorry, my cat is in here. But after that, they traded possessions on downs. They went for both teams went for on fourth down. Unfortunately, neither can convert on fourth down. Panthers punt it, which leads to a touchdown by Tyler Shook to Chris Olave. Ties the game. Saints defense forces a punt, including a sack on Bryce Young, on Bryce Young, which put Carolina back in their own territory. They couldn't convert on third down, third and 14, because Young carried up the middle. So what was happening is that they punt the ball. Shug leads them down the field. They get within field goal range. Smith hits a 47-yard field goal, and that's pretty much the game. And Jalen Coker fumbles the ball, recovered by the Saints. Saints down it. The Saints take over, and they just down it, and it's game over. It's game over. And the Panthers had, again, every opportunity to put the Saints away. They try to put the Saints away. They couldn't convert on fourth down. Now look at the Saints. It's an ugly match. But sometimes these upsets have to be ugly matches to become upsets. And again, in my mind, this was the biggest upset of the week just because of the position that each team was in, especially the Panthers had a chance to take the lead outright in the division. And that sets up a big matchup next week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home. And whoever wins that one, again, will take the lead in the division. Pray against a tie.
Oh man,
because that will just blow things up further in the NFC South. We talked about it on Saturday morning with the Buccaneers losing to the Falcons, and this just blows it up more. The Saints just blew it up again.
Yeah,
they continue. They put more dynamite in the mine that is the NFC South. So that's my biggest upset of Week 15. Dustin, what was yours?
Well, Ryan, I think I'm going to go in a bit of a different direction because, to be honest with you, that was my candidate for the biggest upset. And then I'm thinking, well, Ryan's going to pick that because he had his eye on that game. And I started thinking, do I want to go back to Thursday night and reference the Falcons beating the Bucs? No, we already talked about that. I said, I can't do that. Then as I started really remembering some things, this isn't so much an upset it is just surprising in the manner that this was done. I'm picking the Ravens over the Bengals because it wasn't that I didn't think the Ravens would win that game. I thought they would, but I thought the Bengals would at least make it entertaining and possibly pull off the upset with Joe Burrow back and the way that they responded to him the last couple of weeks that he's been in there. But man, what a horrible performance by the Bengals and a good performance by a Ravens defense, which a lot of us had said, the Ravens defense isn't what it is, isn't what it used to be. They don't have that reputation that they used to have for so many years. But and I mean, it wasn't like a really, really dominant performance by the Ravens defense, but it was a great performance by the Ravens defense. I mean, they picked off Joe Burrow twice. They sacked him 3 times. They also contained the run pretty well. I mean, it's 3 different rushers for the Bengals. They allowed 100 yards on the ground on the nose, but it really was also just a bad performance by Joe Burrow and the Bengals in a game that they absolutely had to have to keep their razor thin margins alive. And you just might hear a little bit more about Joe Burrow later in the show. But this, Ryan, the part of the reason I picked this game is this is the first time per the Dayton Daily News, one of their writers, Laurel Fowler. I should have looked up how to pronounce it. I believe I pronounced that right.
You got it right.
But this is the first time the Bengals have ever been shut out in the Joe Burrow era. I had to look it up because I had a feeling. I said, I can't remember the last time the Bengals got shut out like this. And sure enough, my instinct was right. It is the first time they've been shut out with Joe Burrow at quarterback. What a performance by a Ravens team, which at some points has looked like another team where it's, they're going to get back on track. They're going to be okay. And then they just kind of fumble the ball a little bit. Sorry, pun intended. But I was just shocked at the lopsided result of this Ravens-Bengals matchup. And that's why I picked it as my biggest upset.
Another Spiro special. I will note this. I was watching on Red Zone, and I saw a pass by Joe Burrow. I have to wonder if Joe Burrow's done in Cincinnati. I wonder if he's at here.
Maybe
like Charlie and the Nightman Cometh, the musical. I wrote a musical. No, you didn't.
I'm here with it.
Now I'm here.
Yeah,
I had to get that clip. But I saw him. There just seemed to be no energy from Joe Burrow. He's getting chased around. He's not finding his favorite target, Jamar Chase. I saw a pass he threw. It just looked like he just was just kind of, he's being chased out of the pocket, and he just kind of throws it away, gets knocked to the ground, gets taunted by the player who knocked him down, and there's a penalty on the play, and the fans in the crowd are going, yeah, we're going to get a first down. It's unnecessary roughness. The illegal hands to the face by an offensive. I'm sorry, it was pass. It was a pass interference penalty by Gesicki, and the crowd went the crowd at Paycor went absolutely banana sandwich. And I'm going, and you just see this look on Joe Burrow's face, like, why am I still here?
Yeah.
Trade me tomorrow. Like, please trade me tomorrow. And he was I think I'm paraphrasing it, but there was some sort of quote. He was saying that the fun has been taken out of football. Now, I don't know if it's because of the situation the Bengals are currently in, where there's no offensive line. He's got all these weapons to throw to. He's got a decent passing attack. He's got a decent running attack to help him out, but he's got no protection whatsoever in front of him. And he's just saying, and it's probably because of all the injuries he's had to go through in the short amount, and since they've gone to the Super Bowl 4 years ago, and he's just saying, like, no, football's not fun right now. I get it. You know, they invested so much in him. They invested so much in Higgins and in Chase, but their defense, they had to let a lot of guys go on defense over free agency, and a lot of cuts. a lot of pieces on that defense. Plus, I guess the new defense with the new defensive coordinator, Al Golden, who used to be coach at Temple University and University of Miami. He's implementing a new system, and is like, oh, that's just taking some time to get used to it. It's like it's week 14, it's week 15.
Yeah.
It should have been handled in training camp. But yeah, if I'm Joe Burrow, I may have to talk to I may have to talk to my agent. My agent might have to talk to the general. I might have to talk to Mike Brown, the owner of the Bengals, not the co-founder of Belly Up Sports. FYI, shout out Mike Brown from Belly Up Sports.
Shout out to you.
I think I would want to go somewhere else in the offseason, and maybe they might make a call to one Jets drive. You don't know. There's a lot of teams are linking him as a possible trade to. I mean, at least Jets fans are. Like, Jets fans are very optimistic that they might get their hands on Joe Burrow because they have so much cap space and they have so much draft capital they can use some of it. But
yeah,
a lot of fans are saying, no, let's use that cap space to get ourselves a quarterback in this year's draft. If not this year's draft, then 2027. So, but yeah, Joe Burrow had the look of a guy who he's lost all his juice.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, right before the show, Ryan, I was watching a clip on, I think it was Instagram. I found it because I follow the NFL on Instagram, and I think it was them or somebody else. They posted a clip of Joe Burrow, and he was being asked by reporters about. He said, all I want to do is play ball, and I feel like everybody is trying to get me to not play football, for reasons. But I just want to play ball. And they asked him about the possibility of going to another team. And he said, you think about it and all the outcomes that could happen, which to my knowledge, that's the first time he's ever referenced possibly playing for another team other than the Bengals. And I heard on the Fantasy Focus podcast on ESPN this week, the Bengals, I did not know this. It snowed before that game, and Bengals season ticket holders were tweeting out, I paid $200 for this ticket, and I can't even have the snow removed from my seat. The Bengals are the only team in the NFL that did not pay to have someone come or do what the Bills do, pay fans to come remove it if they want to. Mike Brown and the Bengals did nothing. I stand by what I said. Mike Brown is cheap.
By the way, at kickoff on Sunday, at Soldier Field, 8 degrees. At Paycor Stadium, 9 degrees. Football weather's back, baby.
Oh, man.
I love it.
I'm just glad I don't have to play in it.
Me neither. We're going to move on to our biggest disappointments of Week 15. And Dustin, I'll have you lead off with this one.
All right. Well, I said you might hear a little bit more about Joe Burrow. And here we go. Biggest disappointment for me. There's a couple players I wanted to shout out in a negative way, but Joe Burrow, he normally just doesn't have games like this. This is the price that you pay when your standard is normally so good. He was 25 of 39 for 225 yards, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. I cannot recall the last time there was a line like that for one Joe Burrow. But the other person I'm going to shout out in a negative light, and I hate to do it because he's one of my favorite Seahawks, and he's a frustrating player for me because you can see the talent that he has, and he is in a contract year, and it's not going well for him. But Ken Walker, Ryan, I will give you one guess as to Ken Walker had 6 carries at the end of the first half of the Seahawks game. How many yards do you think Ken Walker had? I will give you one hint. It is less than 10.
8?
He had 6 carries for 5 yards at the end of the first half. His total yardage for the game. Now Seahawks social media and football social media in general, they're all making Anthony Bradford the punching bag of the Seahawks offensive line. And they're highlighting Bradford's miscues and his bad plays, but you can't blame Kenneth Walker's ineptitude and the Seahawks at large ineptitude in the run game, all on Anthony Bradford. Kenneth Walker had 9 carries for 17 yards total and a 1.9 yard average for the game. The Seahawks have had one 100-yard rushing game this year. One. And that was all the way back in week 2 against Pittsburgh. So sorry to do it, K9. You're one of the players that you can see the talent when you touch the ball, and we know that you have top speed if you get to the outside, but something is not working for you this year. 5 yards or 6 carries for 5 yards at the end of a half, not going to get it done anywhere, let alone the NFL.
So going back to Joe Burrow, and I found the exact quote. So all I gotta say is, I'm sorry. The exact quote he said is, quote, if I want to keep doing this, meaning play football, I have to have fun doing it. I've been through a lot and it's not fun. Then what am I doing it for? So that's the mindset I try to bring to the table. Close quote. This is courtesy of Ben Baby. Yes, that's his actual name. Ben Baby, the beat writer for ESPN with the Cincinnati Bengals. So there you go. That's the exact quote. I just want to make sure I get it right for the record.
Yeah.
Yeah. My biggest disappointment of week 15. How about them Cowboys? The Cowboys had a golden opportunity put on a platter on Sunday night after the Lions lost, the Panthers lost, and the Packers lost to gain some ground in the wild card. Now, that could have been, I think would have been a game and a half behind the Packers and a half game back behind the Lions and the Panthers for that final wild card spot going in the last 3 weeks of the season. Golden opportunity. They controlled the ball longer. They won time of possession. They had more yards. They had more first downs. And they had more turnovers than the Vikings. Granted, it was 1-0. It was 1 turnover to 0, and that was an early interception by my guy, Quentin Williams. And on the first possession, the second play of the game, ball gets deflected in the air. Quentin Williams, with his big old paw, grabs it, takes it down inside the 10, or inside the 15 of the Vikings. And yet, they had all these advantages, the Cowboys did, and they lost. How did they lose? Dustin, what did we talk about on Thursday's game against the Lions?
Thursday's game against the Lions with the Cowboys?
Yep.
I mean, their defense has improved, but they didn't stop anybody. And Dak throws INTs. I'm trying to remember.
They did not have any turnovers in this game.
Yeah, I didn't think, because I was like, I watched that game. I don't remember. So enlighten me. I forget.
Penalties.
Yes, that's right.
They had 7 penalties. They had 7 accepted penalties in this game. 5 of those penalties were on defense. That included some unnecessary roughness calls. That included, I think, that also included a roughing the passer penalty. Unacceptable defensive play. This was a Matt Eberflus special if there ever was one. That killed any chance of the Cowboys winning this game. They only lost by 8. Yeah, I would have qualified this as one of the biggest upsets of the week, but I've already said in some games that the Panthers were disappointment, so I saved that because of my upset pick, because of the upset. But the Cowboys, instead of gaining ground, they shot themselves in the foot multiple times in this game, multiple times because of the penalties. And now they're still on the outside. Any hope, they would need a miracle at this point, to win the wild card. Now, granted, Lions have a tough schedule in front of them. Panthers have to play the Buccaneers twice. I think they still have to win the division to get a wild card, the shot of a playoff spot. And the Packers, I believe, with Micah Parsons out for the year, I don't think it changes anything on defense. But their final 3 games of this season are the Bears on Monday night, the Ravens, and they're at the Vikings in Week 18. The Cowboys have to win out. They have 2 games against the Commanders. I believe their other game, the Cowboys, if I remember correctly, is against the Giants. Yes. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They had the Chargers at home on Sunday, Christmas night at Washington, at the Giants in Week 18. Those are 3 winnable games. Although I think the Chargers they're starting to find their stride. They're getting some fresh bodies. They're starting to find their stride, especially after this Sunday's game against the Chiefs, who we'll talk about momentarily. Kind of goes hand in hand with my Bills commentary for the biggest takeaway. But I think the Chargers are starting to hit their stride. I still think they could win the division. They would have to have the Broncos lose out. But it's going to be very interesting to see. This wild card race is going to be very interesting. If the Cowboys lose, that's it. It's over for them. And it's going to be another one of those years where Jerry Jones has got to look in the mirror and say to himself, "Am I putting the right team together on the field?"
I believe I am.
Thanks, Jerry.
Sorry, it was right there.
Can't say if I say anything wrong. If I say no, then they'll be knocking on Belly Up's door to have me fired.
Yeah, but I mean that's I'll have your job. But Ryan, you were starting to say I don't know if Jerry Jones has, as much as I say, hey, at least Jerry wants to win and you can see his passion. But do you think he has the capacity to look in the mirror and say, hey, I don't think he can separate himself from the Cowboys. I don't think he can rationally look at it and say, hey, I'm the reason we're not getting over the hump here. I just don't think he has it in him.
It's the principal Skinner quandary. Am I out of touch? No, it's the children who are out of touch. But with that, we're going to take our network mandate commercial break, and we're going to talk about our affiliate sponsor for this episode. This episode is fueled by our friends at Righteous Felon Craft Jerky. Hang on a second. I've got some music for this. That's right, folks. The holiday season is here, and the outlaw of the snack world is here to fuel your enthusiasm. Forget the gas station stuff. This jerky is all natural, low sugar, and absolutely packed with flavor. Every 2-ounce bag delivers 20 grams of protein with beef that has no added hormones, no antibiotics, and no shady business. But jerky is just the beginning. Righteous Felon's lineup also includes beef sticks for on-the-go snacking, tender turkey jerky. It's light, it still packs a punch in case of a Thanksgiving dinner, and authentic South African-style biltong that melts in your mouth. They're flavored, as seen on the screen. Range from savory classics like OG Hickory and Victorious B.I.G. the bourbon, to spicy kicks like Habanero Escobar and the Carolina Reaper. Whether you want food, smoky, or fiery heat, they've got you covered. And don't forget, they even have Wild Ranger dog treats for your 4-legged sidekick can join the snack game too. Pickles and Logan approved. Head over to righteousfelon.com. Use promo code NOCREDS at checkout. For a limited time this holiday season, which makes the perfect stocking stuffer, you get 20% off your order with promo code NOCREDS. Plus, you get free and fast shipping for every order over $100. Shipping is free, 20% off your order. What more do you want this holiday season? Stocking stuffers, anything to your delight, not only yours, but also your dog's delight. Head over to richardfelon.com. Use code NOCREDS at checkout. You get 20% off your order this holiday season. Felon Craft Jerky. Your flavor is the crime, and you're guilty of enjoying every bite. And Righteous Felon Craft Jerky. Like many of our products we showcase on this show, you get the no credentials required seal of approval. Good old puppers.
Yeah.
Dustin is typing feverishly. I don't know why. Look at he's up to no good, or he's typing out some. He's got something prepared. All right, we're going to get to our peak performers in week 15 of the season. And I'll start with my week 15 peak performer. And that is Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville of these guys. Hang on. I got it here. Here we go. Duval. Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars making history this past Sunday, becoming the first NFL quarterback to pass for over 300 yards, pass for 5 touchdowns, run for a touchdown, and have over 50 yards rushing in a game. And this game against my New York Jets led to the dismissal of one defensive coordinator, Steve Wilkes. So, congratulations, Trevor Lawrence. You made history against my team and led to the firing of someone who is amongst fans and I guess also players alike, not very popular. Not very popular.
Yeah, I saw that, Ryan. Players expressed concerns about the system. The system, they were forced to stay in their gaps, and not go to try to make plays. I don't know. But you predicted it. You said he'd be gone at the end of the season, and it turns out it happened a bit sooner than that. But it sounds like a change needed to be made, especially after a performance like that. What a performance by Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. How about you, Dustin? Who is your week 15 peak performer?
On my week 15 peak performer, am I picking a running back? No. Shocking, everybody. I know. There were some great performances by running backs, but I'm going a little off the board here because I don't know when the next time I'll be able to do this. I'm picking a kicker, Jason Myers. Myers, he scored all 18 of the Seahawks points in this game. He is the first kicker in Seahawks history to have 6 field goals in a game. So, here it is. I got to give a shout to the kicker because this might be the only time I'm ever allowed to do it. He's my peak performance. Also, I'd like to shout out the Colts offensive line, okay? Mm-hmm. I know I'm talking a lot about this game, but this game was so surprising to me. But the Colts offensive line, they've been great all season, but let me tell you how great they were this game. They protected a slow-moving Phillip Rivers who was using cleats that he had in a trophy case in this game, okay? The Colts didn't even give him new cleats yet, but they protected him very well in this game. They only gave up 1 sack to the Seahawks. I thought this defensive line was going to eat. I thought it was going to be a long day at the office for Uncle Phil, but that's not what happened. They were 4th in the league in sacks heading into this game, and the Colts defensive line was able to keep Phillip Rivers, or offensive line, was able to keep Phillip Rivers mostly clean.
They kept Unk upright.
Yeah, they did.
That's what they did. Great job. It's the Colts offensive line. All right, biggest takeaways from week 15. I'm like, esteemed co-host, start us off with his biggest takeaway.
Oh, man, Ryan, I'm happy to start us off because I got a feeling you're going to cook with your biggest takeaway. I'm ready for it. But this, and I'm sorry, I have to tip my hat to my co-host yet again because he said something similar a few shows back. But I got to echo these sentiments now because this week, some of the stuff surrounding the NFL was a little bit ridiculous for me. I understand why conspiracy theories around sports are always going to be a thing, especially with the advent of gambling and being legalized and sports betting being legalized and the past scandals with point shaving, things like that, the Pete Rose thing. Heck, the NBA betting scandal that broke at the beginning of the season. The poor NBA season, they didn't even get underway before things got derailed.
We're 2 days in.
Yeah. But man, not everything. I'm not saying that there's no possibility, but I saw some people on social media and some fans. Not every ref has a vendetta against your team. I think there's some fans in the NFL fan base need to tone it down. And I'm going to say it about some of the Seahawks fan. All I saw all over Seahawks social media after that game is oh, the refs had an agenda because the NFL wanted Phillip Rivers to complete the comeback story. They wanted the Disney ending for Phillip Rivers. They wanted at the expense of the Seahawks. There was one call in that game where and granted, I did not see the whole game because I was watching via Red Zone, but there was one call, the Rashid Shaheed non-pass interference call. That should have been defensive PI, and that should have led to a touchdown because Shaheed in his Grinch cleats, he was getting ready to hit the end zone on that one. That was the only no call I saw, but people saying that there's this vendetta that the NFL wanted to complete the Disney comeback story, so they're trying to hand the game to Phillip Rivers and the Colts. No, the Seahawks just played a bad game. They can't run the ball. Their offense has struggled the last 3 to 4 weeks. If you watch Seahawks games, they've started slow in every single game offensively, okay? So that contributed more, and also the great job that the Colts offensive line did protecting Phillip Rivers. That contributed to the Seahawks almost dropping this game. Not everything is a bigger conspiracy. And also, I have to say, in the Rams game, it was obvious to me that Kobe Parkinson, that should not have been ruled a touchdown. His leg was down, and he was, to me, obviously short. But guess what? Referees are human, everybody. They're trying their best. And with instant replay, one of the broadcasters shouted it out. I can't remember who it is, but he basically said that instant replay has allowed us to view things that in slow motion, it looks like he definitely lost control. But we got to remember, these are bang, bang plays. So it might, in slow motion, and we have all these angles, the ball may appear to bobble, but in real time, maybe it's not as much of a bobble. We have to remember there are human elements, and I think some people are reaching a little too far. People were saying, oh, the NFL has tried to line everything up for the Rams ever since they moved to LA and the stadium deal got done. Relax, everybody. It's not always there's not all these, like, the referees don't get together like some secret cabal and be like, all right, who can we screw over this week? Sometimes you just got to look at your own team and maybe where they fell short or they could have played better. And sometimes refs are human. They blow calls.
Well said. And I gotta say, the only Grinch in that game was the refs for that call, for the OPI call.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, actually, it's funny that you mentioned the refs because it kind of ties into my biggest takeaway from Week 15. I don't know why I hit the disappointment button, but my biggest takeaway from Week 15: the King is dead. The Kansas City Chiefs, by virtue of a loss and wins by Houston, Jacksonville, and Buffalo, they have been eliminated from playoff contention for the first time in 2014. And to add an insult to injury, yes, the pun was intended. They lost Patrick Mahomes to a left ACL tear, which means he'll be out until sometime, unless there's some miracle that happens, he'll be out until sometime, probably midway through next season, or if he plays at all this season. So we can speculate what's going to happen for this Chiefs roster. Is this truly Travis Kelce's last ride? Does Andy Reid dismantle an aging roster? Does he start to go to trend younger? We can only speculate, especially going into next season for the Kansas City Chiefs, especially if Mahomes is going to be out long term. But one thing for sure, and I've been saying this all season long, especially since the middle of the season, the AFC East is now officially wide open. And you know which team has the most to gain from the Kansas City Chiefs being out of the playoffs? The Buffalo Bills.
All right.
The Buffalo Bills, because the Chiefs have been the Bills' biggest bugaboo in 4 out of the last 5 playoffs. The fifth being the exception because the I think it was the Bengals who beat the Bills in the divisional playoff a couple of years ago.
Yes.
On their run to the AFC Championship. But very much, and I'm going to do a callback to one of the movies we featured in our No Ticket Required series, Dustin. Goon. Remember at the end of Goon when Xavier Laflemme, when he sees Ross the Boss Ray on the ice after his epic fight with Doug the Thug Glatt, and he's gone, and he realizes, oh my God, I'm free. I'm free. He scores that hat trick, and spoiler alert, scores the hat trick in the final period of the game against the St. John's Shamrocks to get the Halifax Highlanders into the playoffs. It's very much like this situation. And I believe after this week, I believe the Bills can go on a run. They still have an easy schedule throughout. I think they plan to play the Dolphins. No, they don't play the Dolphins again. If I look at their schedule, they had the Jets in week 18. That's a win. That's a W, especially if the Jets are in pro tank mode. I think they still have to play the Raiders. That's a win.
That's a win.
And they have to play the Eagles, which might be a tough. It'll be a tough match, but I think they win that game, especially with the way the Eagles are playing, and they're at home. So I'm sorry. I apologize. The Jets, the Bills. Oh my gosh, this is the easy schedule. They're at the Browns on Sunday.
Oh man.
Then the last 2 games of the season, they host the Eagles, which I think they win that game, and they host the Jets, which is a totally winnable game, especially if the Jets are in complete tank mode at this point, because the Jets have basically to lose throughout, and they need the Raiders to win one more game and possibly the Browns to win one more game to at least earn a number two seed, the number 2 pick in the draft. And I know who they're going after. They're going after their quarterback. So, but anyway, back to my point. The Buffalo Bills, with the Chiefs being out of the playoff contention, the Buffalo Bills have the most to gain. And I'm pretty sure the majority, if not all of Bills Mafia, they are ecstatic because because this is this if there's one year that they're going to have a shot to go to the Super Bowl without having to run into the Chiefs, this is that year.
Yes, this is their window. This is their window. I couldn't agree with you more, Ryan. And I'll shout back to another. This was a series we reviewed. Go back and check it out in the archives. But The Last Dance, Jordan said it was a thing in the NBA when I was coming up. You had to beat the person. You had to beat the team that came before you. He said the Pistons, the bad boy Pistons, had to beat the Celtics. And when they finally beat the Celtics and knocked them off, then we had to go up against them and we had to beat them. This is the time, because, and I'll also reference the rest of the NBA. When Jordan retired, they all said, we got a chance now. All of them, a lot of the former players in that documentary, they said
the Knicks, especially especially when Jordan was out of the league for 2 seasons.
Yeah, they said this is it. And I think that the Bills have to be viewing it this way, because sometimes, and I know Josh Allen, I think he's still got a lot of football left. James Cook, I know he's at a aging position. Running backs age quick in the league. But I got to wonder, especially with some of the pieces on defense and other things, the Bills window feels like it's closing faster than it is remaining open. That's the sense I get from it. And now this is their chance to cash in their chips.
Yeah, this is especially on defense, but they've had a lot of injuries. Although I will say the defense stepped up in that Patriots game, only allowing 1 touchdown and only allowing 10 points the rest of the way after their 21. I'm sorry. Only give up 7 points because they were down 24-7 at the half.
Yeah, because the Patriots got that field goal late.
Yep. Julie in the comment section joining us late saying, hello, gentlemen. Hello, Julie. We talked about your Lions a little bit earlier in the show. So you have to, unfortunately, have to rewind. Speaking of rewind, we're going to talk about the updated standings for the Cut the Breaks Pick'em Challenge.
Because I cut the breaks! Wild card, bitches! Yeah! What?
And the update is there really was no update.
Oh man, my upset pick. Sorry, Julie. It was looking so good for a little bit there.
So here's what happened. Eagles won. Texans won. Both of them won rather handily. I believe the Eagles shut out the Raiders, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they did.
And the Houston Texans they went up early on the Cardinals and basically didn't look back. They were up 17-0 before the Cardinals had their 5th play of the game.
Oh, man.
On the other side of the ball, the Jacksonville Jaguars absolutely motorboated my Jets. The 49ers had a tougher time against the Titans.
Yeah, the Titans are showing up a little bit.
And for upsets, unfortunately, the Lions losing to the Rams. And what the hell was I thinking picking the Dolphins, not realizing that the Steelers haven't lost a Monday night game in the Tomlin era? I heard that stat. If I remember correctly, I have to look it up. But I also forgot it was cold. So it was 20-something degrees at kickoff. So what was I thinking with that upset pick? I thought to myself, I was just trying to get points because I'm trying to pull away from Dustin, but we got 3 more weeks of this left, and Dustin's only down 3. So those are our picks. That's our review for the Cut the Breaks Pick'em Challenge, which is presented by Royal Retros, the king of throwbacks. Use promo code CREDHEAD at checkout. You get 10% off your order. Plus, you get free shipping for every order. Oh, my sister's home.
Yeah.
For every order over $100 or more, royalretros.com. Get you some really cool retro stuff, especially during the holiday season. And that's going to do it for this week's Cut the Breaks Pick'em Challenge.
Because I cut the brakes! Wild card, bitches! Yeah! What?
And before we go on to our favorite athletes to wear the number 92, Julie's saying, it's okay. They have already sufficiently depressed me enough this week.
Oh, man.
Poor Julie.
Well, that's what it is. We love football, right? But we live it to some degree. We not to be dramatic, but our teams can definitely affect our weeks, as sad as it is for outsiders. They'll never understand our passion for football, Ryan.
Look, the older I get, the more the Jets always disappoint me. I just let it slide.
Yeah.
Which is why I have other teams to like the Devils. Oh my God, they're doing terrible too. And the Yankees are, they are who they are, but it's the off season for baseball. But hey, Julie, look at the Pistons and Red Wings. They're doing pretty well. I mean,
the Red Wings
went a really nice win streak for a while. I think the Pistons are number 1 in the Eastern Conference. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, Pistons are
5, man.
Wow.
Pistons. I remember when they were dog crap a couple of years ago. Now
I got to start watching some Detroit basketball. Isn't it their thing? Right.
And the Red Wings are first place in the Atlantic. So good on them. Good on them. You got other teams to look forward to with your Detroit fandom, Julie. All right. Our favorite athletes to wear number 92. And I couldn't think of it until probably Monday. Said to myself, number 92, who wore number 92? I'm not remembering. Then I remembered the Minister of Defense.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is why I have him in there.
There,
my headline. Minister of Defense. Number 92, Reggie White. Give me some lowdown on him. A unanimous All-American at the University of Tennessee in 1983. Rather than declaring from the NFL draft, he was chosen by the Memphis Showboats of the USFL, and he played 2 seasons with them, that spring league that tried to rival the NFL, which I personally love because I remember growing up, seeing my New Jersey Generals back in the day. He racked up 23.5 sacks in 2 seasons with the Showboats. And after the league folded, he signed a 4-year contract, and he actually took a pay cut.
Oh, man.
They were paying him a lot in the USFL. They were paying players in the USFL. They paid him a lot of money back in those days. But if you watch that ESPN 30 for 30 Small Potatoes, it tells you the reason why the NFL is making the money. Players are making the money they make now, as opposed to absolute peanuts and have to get a second job in the off season. Anywho, 4-year contract with the Eagles, registered 13 sacks, and I'm putting in air quotes rookie season in 1985. Finished second in the defensive rookie of the year voting to Colts linebacker Dwayne Bickett. Had a solid career, but not as solid as the Minister of Defense, who quickly rose to become one of the most feared pass rushers in the NFL under the tutelage of Buddy Ryan, who was head coach of the Eagles. starting in 1987. And in a strike-shortened 12-game season for Reggie White, the league played 15 games that year. He played only 12. Dustin, guess how many sacks Reggie White had in only 12 games in 1987?
Okay, 12 games. I'm going to say he had 16 sacks.
Nope.
20?
21.
Oh, man. Oh.
21 sacks in only 12 games. He would have set the record if he played a full 16-game schedule and probably outpaced Mark Gastineau's record at the time of 22. The current record is 22 and a half, held by your pick for number 92, which we'll get to in a second, and TJ Watt. But that record might be broken because Myles Garrett is only one behind for the record.
Yeah,
but
I think he's going to get there.
Continuing on, he would earn Defensive Player of the Year honors that season. He would lead the league in sacks in 1988, finishing second to Mike Singletary in Defensive Player of the Year voting. Continued to be one of the most dominant pass rushers into the 1990s, eventually signing one of the biggest contracts at the time with the Green Bay Packers in 1993. It would help the Packers get to consecutive Super Bowls in Super Bowl 32 and 33, winning in 32 against New England, setting a Super Bowl record with 3 sacks in that game. Did not win MVP honors because that was won by Desmond Howard. Anywho,
wow.
Retired at the end of the 1998 season, but would come back and sign a 1-year contract with Carolina in 2000 and registered 5.5 sacks in 16 games with the Carolina Panthers. Career totals. In 232 games, he had 198 sacks. He was only 2 away from 200. 1,111 total career tackles, including 12 sacks in the playoffs. And unfortunately, he tragically passed away on December 26, 2004, due to complications of sleep apnea, which, as somebody who has sleep apnea, let me just tell you, gentlemen and ladies, get checked for sleep apnea. It could be a lifesaver. Unfortunately for Reggie White, he suffered from it, and which led to conditions that aided to his passing. He was posthumously inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2006. In that same class was Troy Aikman, Harry Carson, John Madden, Warren Moon, and Rayfield Wright. Reggie White, 13-time Pro Bowler, 8-time All-Pro. On the Hall of Fame 1980s and 1990s, all 80s and 90s teams, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 3-time for the AP, 3-time UPI Defensive Player of the Year, 1991 Alan Page Award winner. Reggie White, rest in peace, but man, when I started playing flag football, and I played defensive lineman, guess whose instructional video I watched? Reggie White. I learned a lot from him.
Man, a great pick, Ryan, and somebody that I would have picked had I been watching football more regularly back. I would have. There's a better chance that I would have seen him on the Packers than his time with the Eagles. I wasn't watching football at that young an age, but an interesting thing that occurred to me while you were talking about his sack totals. Does that number include his total with the showboats? Because I don't think
only NFL, but he had over 200 sacks in his pro career if you count those with the showboats.
Yeah, if that's the thing. If he had signed with the NFL out of the jump, he would have eclipsed that number easily, which is unbelievable. Unbelievable, man.
But yeah, Desmond Howard won Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 32, had a 99-yard kickoff return touchdown, 244 all-purpose return yards that game, which if he didn't win it, probably would have gone to Reggie White or Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Brett Favre.
They might have done Brett a favor, if you know what I just did there.
Boo!
Go back and watch when he gets drafted. Okay.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
All right. So that's my number 92. Dustin, what was yours?
All right. Well, my number 92 is kind of tied to Brett Favre a little bit, big time, but I decided, because I had a feeling, I go, Ryan's going to go Reggie White. And also for the reasons that I would have picked him, but I couldn't because I didn't really see him play. But this next person I did see play, and I didn't really recognize his greatness until I would say the late 90s. I feel like that's when he really kind of broke out onto the scene. I'm talking about current Today Show host, I believe, Michael Strahan. And why, this whole series, Ryan and I have put certain things in our headline to allude to who we picked. And you might look at mine and say, you got B.O.B. in yours. Why do you have B.O.B. in your headline? And I'm going to tell you why. It's because go back and watch Michael Strahan's football life. He says in that people used to call him Bob as his nickname. And he thought it was a cool nickname. He's like, I'll go with this. And somebody pulled him aside. One of his cousins said, you realize they call you Bob because it stands for booty odd back. So they were, and after that kind of motivated Strahan to, get after it a little bit. And boy, did he ever, because his numbers are very impressive as well. He is a Hall of Famer. He has 141 and a half career sacks. He is a 7-time Pro Bowler. He is a 4-time All-Pro. He has 666 solo tackles. How many career games did he do this all in, you may ask? 216. So he's not quite on the sack pace that Reggie White was on, but very, very good nonetheless. He is on the Hall of Fame All 2000s team. He was the 2001 Defensive Player of the Year. That's when he broke the sack record, and people say that Favre laid up for him for that sack. We can debate that all day, but 22 and a half is the record as it currently stands for now, because I do think Garrett will break it. But what a perfect time to give Strahan his flowers. He also played at Texas Southern University, where his uncle Art played, and he was so dominant there that he had his own set of rules implemented called the Strahan rules. He was double teamed, and they brought out tactics to try to stop him. So while there was Jordan rules, there was also Strahan rules. He played for the Giants. I think he was drafted. I forgot to write down his draft year here, but I think it was the early 90s. He was drafted by the Giants.
Please hold, but I will check it out.
But he didn't really. He had a couple kind of unremarkable seasons in his first run with the Giants. He had some injuries, but he really hit his stride in 1997. He broke out that year, and from there, he never really looked back. He was an amazing player for the Giants from 1997 to 2005. There was some contract dispute things in there over his tenure with the Giants, but ultimately they did resolve it. And Michael Strahan, he was instrumental in that Super Bowl run in 2007, I believe, when many people were wondering if he had anything left. He and O.C. Umenyiora paired together for quite a sack combination for that year for the Giants. Michael Strahan, a sack artist, if there ever was one, and a Hall of Famer. And shout out to him, too. I'd like to give an honorary shout out to him for embracing the gap in his teeth. As somebody who has a gap in his front teeth as well, it's not as pronounced as Strahan's, but he said, I had opportunities to fix this, but I decided ultimately this is part of who I am, and I'm just going to embrace it. And he has done that. He's been a success off the field as well. Shout out to Strahan, my favorite, number 92.
Yeah, so he was drafted in the second round with the New York Giants in 1993.
Okay,
he is currently the one of the hosts of Good Morning America and often fills in on Live.
That's where it is.
Used to be with Regis and Kathy Lee. Now it's Kelly and her husband, I think. Also is on the Fox NFL and Fox studio panel. So you'll find him there. And yeah, you could definitely kick a field. You could definitely kick a field goal between that gap in his teeth, but that's okay. Look, as someone with imperfect teeth too, I get it, man. You embrace who you embrace it, man. Embrace it. So yeah, that's good. That's a good pick, Dustin. It's I appreciate those Strahan years, especially late when they beat the Patriots in those two Super Bowls in 2007 and 2009. That made me happy.
Yeah. I think you and most of the football world.
Yeah, that's for sure. Julie did add, she said the two sports I don't follow, basketball and hockey. Come on, Julie. Come on.
Get in there, Julie.
Right?
You got a long time till the Tigers season starts. You may as well watch something.
And by then, Tariq School might be a Yankee. I mean, did I say that out loud? Oh, my goodness. All right, we're going to get out of here. Just a reminder, I'll be recording tomorrow with Gaz. We'll be recording our first of the first round of the college football playoff. We'll be previewing those 4 matchups. I'm also going to be recording our annual tradition of our top 5 national and local to the capital region of New York sports stories. So I'll give you a hint on one of those stories. Pro wrestling is one of them.
Ooh, I always tune into that each year, Ryan, on the podcast side, because usually I can't catch it live on the radio side, but I always catch up with it on the podcast side. You and Gaz do a great job. I look forward to it every year.
Thank you. And we'll be recording that on Monday night. We were supposed to do it tonight, but unfortunately he forgot, and he's covering a Syracuse game instead. So great job. Great job, guys. But no, I'm just kidding. No, we're gonna be recording. We'll be dropping the college football playoff first round preview will drop Friday morning, nice and early, so you can get it in before Friday night's game between Oklahoma and Alabama. All 4 games. They should be good games, I think. But we'll talk about those games in the preview. You can check it out on the YouTube. It'll be YouTube exclusive on the No Credentials Required channel, so you can check it out then. But in the meantime. And we'll be back Saturday morning, at 10 a.m. Eastern, previewing Week 16 in the NFL. Dustin will probably have a lot to say if things go awry on Thursday night between the Seahawks and Rams. Although I have a good feeling, I just have a feeling that Seahawks will win. I just have a feeling. I don't know why I have that feeling, but I do.
I hope you're right, sir.
The 12th man will show up. I think. That's just my opinion. But we're going to get out of here. Before we do that, just want to remind you to check out our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for No Credentials Required. You can also find our other podcasts and written content at bellyupsports.com. On the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, and our host, which is Podbean.
Freshly Brewed Podcast.
There we go. And hit that notification bell on Twitter and on YouTube so you don't miss out on the live shows when there's show announcements and when there are clips that go up on one of those channels. Usually it's the YouTube channel, but we'll post it on Twitter as well. Thank you for joining us on No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. We'll be back live on Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Again, don't forget, college football preview with Gaz, first round, college football playoff. That preview drops Friday morning, nice and early. So go ahead and check that out on the YouTube side and subscribe so you don't miss out. But we'll be back Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. We'll be back. Y'all have a great rest of the week. Talk to you live Saturday.
Good night, everybody.